Now, let's bring in independent Senator Angus King of Maine, who's a member of the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committees, also NBC News military analyst, retired four-star General Barry McCaffrey. Gentlemen, it's great to have you here. Senator, I want to start with you because our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows that Americans, they are war-weary. Just 15% supporting the U.S. taking any type of military action in Syria, and just 11% supporting supplying arms to the rebel. Do you think that the president is doing the right thing now in supplying these types of weapons to the opposition?
Well, mark me in that majority category. I'm reluctant and cautious about this because I want to know what the end game is. We've done this before. We've done it 3 or 4 times before, and it's just not so easy to go in, with some kind of surgical strike or something like that. And the question is, once we get in, how do we get out? What's our mission? This is a really complicated situation in Syria. It's a civil war within a civil war, and even if Assad goes, then there's going to be another civil war between sectarian groups that are already fighting amongst themselves. There's no clear leadership of the opposition, and the other piece is the chemical weapons. I don't know of any way to secure those chemical weapons without troops on the ground, and I don't think that's anything that we want to do. So I guess my feeling is we should be very cautious about this because, as we keep learning, you can't just go in with a light touch. Once you go in, you're committed, and it just becomes deeper and deeper. So I just hope the administration, if they are going to take further action, has a clear idea of what the mission is they want to accomplish and also what the exit strategy is.
You've been on the record saying that you prefer a cautious approach when you were questioned about that back in April, sir. And as we think about where it stands now, because the UN is saying yesterday that at least 93,000 people have been killed in this 2-year-old conflict, 100 to 150 people killed by chemical weapons that the administration is now confirming. And if that red line has been crossed, I mean, isn't it subjective to think whether the line was crossed minorly or majorly by the uses of chemical weapons? It's been crossed now. Doesn't that force the hand of President Obama?
Well, I don't know if it forces the hand. He's the one that created the so-called red line. I'm not sure that it forces his hand, and whether or not it does, whatever the reality is, I just think that we need to go in here with our eyes open and understand that this is a very complicated situation. I don't think it's Libya, where there was a clear opposition. There was an opposition group. Air cover was what they needed, and it tipped the balance in a pretty straightforward way. This is more like Iraq, I think. In fact, I think it's even more complicated than Iraq. And, we could topple Assad tomorrow, and then our troubles really begin. As you say, we've got Russia and Iran involved in this. I'm not saying we should abdicate our responsibility, but, boy, I don't see any really good options right now.
Well, let's talk about that responsibility. And, General McCaffrey, let me ask you, because critics are charging now that the U.S. supplying arms and ammunition to the rebels, doing it now is just too little too late. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think Senator King got it entirely correct. I'm very sympathetic to the administration. There are no U.S. vital national security interests at stake on the ground. It's a tragedy. It's getting worse. The rebels clearly are starting to lose. So if we wanted to make a difference, we'd have to go in with substantial U.S. air power, Patriot missiles, go after the armor on the ground. 90% of these people have been killed weren't killed by helicopters and chemical weapons and aircraft. They were killed by tanks and machine guns. So there is no easy solution. Now, having said that, the problem is the war is spreading. You now got 5,000 Hezbollah fighters out of Lebanon making a crucial difference. You got the Iranians with a major impact on the ground with Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and Israel's security and the Sunni Muslim world are increasingly concerned. So the administration's taken half-hearted measures. It won't make a difference, but it's hard to imagine a good outcome, as Senator King points out.
And if we talk about the long-range outcome, and as the senator pointed out, in trying to ascertain the amount of chemical weapons and take control of those chemical weapons, it would mean boots on the ground, most likely.
I cannot imagine trying to secure those chemical weapons without a substantial U.S. military intervention, probably with the Brits and the French. I mean, this is not a dozen special ops people going in. We'd have to intervene on the ground. We're not going to do that, by the way. So we got a real problem coming up in the end of the first stage of the war when Assad's gone. And I think eventually he'll be brought down. At that point, the thing gets even messier and more dangerous to the Israelis in particular.
Senator Angus King of Maine, retired General Barry McCaffrey. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Good to be with you.